So the new year has started, and everyone's like this. This year is going to be different. This year I'm going to change. This year is going to be the best year. And in most cases, with most people, it doesn't happen. They don't really do the things that they said they would. And there's a big mistake you make that is the reason that this is happening. And if you don't do something about this, nothing's going to change this year. It's going to be exactly the same how it was last year. If you didn't do anything last year, basically if you didn't do the things you said you would, I would do this, I would change this. If that didn't happen last year, then this year is going to be the same. And this mistake is you're probably making already, and you're not looking into the last year, and you're not looking at what happened in the last year. You're just looking at this year, what I need to do this year. What do I mean by that? Yes, there's nothing wrong with looking ahead that what I need to do, that's this year. But looking into the past, the previous year, 2024, you look at what mistakes did I make, and those mistakes I will be making this year too. So what I have to make sure, what I have to make sure is I don't make these mistakes again, which I made in 2024. Because if you make those mistakes again, it's going to be the same year. So what this mistake is just not learning from the mistakes you made in 2024, the past year. That's the mistake. You're always looking ahead. Oh, this year is going to be different. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. You should not be, obviously you should know what you need to do. But you also have to look at what has happened. Because what has happened before, a lot of times it repeats if you don't do something about it. And you probably have not done anything. Basically, you have not looked at the past. How did everything happen? And these were the mistakes I made, and how can I avoid these mistakes? If you don't do that, this year is going to be the same, because you're going to be making the same mistakes. Because you're not looking at the mistakes, and this is how most people are, in the new year. At the end of the year, when it's ended, or the new year, that this new year is going to be different. I'm going to be doing this, and then, a lot of goals people have. And they just look at what they want to do, what they want to achieve, and things like that, rather than the obstacles they will face in the way. They don't focus on I'm not saying focus on the obstacles, but be aware of the obstacles that you will have. Because if you cannot deal with the obstacles, you can't really, you will stop in the way, in the journey, right? You will stop if you cannot deal with the obstacles. Because if one obstacle comes in the way, and you're going to be yeah, I don't know how to deal with this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back. So, and that's what you do, right? So, and this is the same obstacle that you faced last year. And this obstacle is just mistakes that you made last year, which was the reason that, those mistakes were the reason that you didn't do much in the last year. So you need to make sure that you learn from those mistakes this year. And how you learn from those mistakes is basically not making those mistakes again. But we always focus on, oh, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to do. That is what I need to do this year. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you should know that in the past I have made mistakes. And these mistakes were the reason that I didn't really do what I wanted to do. So what that shows that in most cases, with most people, this is exactly the same thing that is going to happen, that they will not change that. If you don't change this, if you don't learn from the mistakes, you're going to repeat the same year. You might call it different. It's not going to be that It's not going to be that It's not going to be that different. So what you do, you look at the past year from the beginning to the end. 2024, from 1st January to 31 December. What happened in each month? What were things you wanted to do which you didn't do? Why did you not do them? What happened exactly that led you to just quit? You were doing something, you were like, I'm motivated. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, but you didn't really do anything. Yeah, in the beginning, maybe you were like, I'm doing this and that, but then you Stop doing things like that, because before you were motivated, now you're not, so you're just not doing things. But what did you make during that time? You have to make sure that these mistakes, you have to, you should probably write them down, so you know these are the mistakes. Yeah, this is actually a good thing. The mistakes that you made, right? Paste this on somewhere that you can see, right? These are the mistakes I made last year, and I have to make sure that these mistakes are not made this year. And if these mistakes are made this year, then basically the year is going to be the same. So you have to just first, obviously, what kind of mistakes you made, what was the reason you stopped doing something, that will just lead to, and some things you would not label everything as a mistake, but lessons you can take. So you make sure that if you're in a situation that you don't, maybe you're doing something and maybe something happened in your life, so you stop doing this thing which you need to do. Maybe it's working out, maybe it's just running, could be anything. But something, let's say, happened, and which kind of changed your life, and that was not in your control, and that is why you stopped doing that. So this year, what you're going to do, this year you're going to be aware that things can change, certain things can happen which may be out of my control. What I need to do, I need to make sure that I stick to this thing which I need to do. And you can in a lot of situations. You might think you can't. I've faced this situation myself a lot of time. You think that you can't because some things have changed in your life. You think you can't do some things because certain things or situations change in your life. Maybe you're in a different situation, things happen, which are not in your control. So you think that you can't do certain things because of that, but you can. You just have to see that there's a way that you can do things. So this is just one example of how you would do this, that what mistakes I've made and how I can make sure that I learn from them and I don't make the same mistakes again. And what I just said, write the mistakes down, paste it somewhere on a paper and paste it somewhere, so you can see these are the mistakes I made last year. If I do not learn from these and I don't make these mistakes again, if I don't make these mistakes again, if I do make these mistakes again, this year is going to be the same. So I need to make sure that I don't make these mistakes again. So that's that. And everyone's so excited in the new year. This is going to happen, that's going to happen. Excitement does not lead to achievement, if you want to call it just achievement. But excitement doesn't lead to things. It's just you have to be calculated. What happened last year? What I just said, I'm not going to say it again, but you do understand, right? Motivation is not going to lead to a lot of things. In some situations it can, but the thing is, you may not be motivated to do certain things. But then that's also another problem, because why are you not motivated? In a lot of situations, it's because you're just you're too stimulated. That's one of the big reasons. You're using your phone all the time, so your dopamine receptors, all of that stuff is just fried, so you just don't feel motivated. You don't have drive, so you don't really want to do things. So that's a big reason. But in a lot of situations, you just have to push yourself to do things. So motivation can be a good thing, but then at the same time, you're depending on something which is not gonna be there to push you that much. That I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. It's not gonna be there all the time, and you don't want to be this person who does things only when is motivated. And most of us are like that. So just learn from the past year's mistakes. If you cannot learn from that, this year is gonna be the same, because these mistakes are exactly the reason you did not do the things which you said you would last year. So those mistakes will happen again if you don't learn from them. And you don't learn from mistakes by identifying that you made these mistakes. You learn from mistakes when you are in a situation similar to the situation where you made the mistake previously, but you're in a similar situation like that, but you don't make that same mistake again. That's called learning from a mistake. So I hope the video makes sense. If it does, that's a good thing. If it doesn't, then what can I do about that? I hope it does. I don't think you'll be watching to this point if the video doesn't make sense. So yeah, learn from the mistakes, because mistakes are like you. I don't know how to say this, but never mind. Learn from the mistakes, because just learn from the mistakes, right? Just learn from the mistakes, because if you don't learn, this year is going to be the same. So yeah, that's that.